I guess let's start just if you can each share your name and your role in the film for our audience if they're not familiar.
Do we look at you or did
You could just look at me.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I'm Roxanne Dawson, and I'm the director of Breakthrough.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Metz. I play Joyce Smith.
She's the star of Breakthrough, by the way. I'm Devon Franklin. I'm the producer of Breakthrough.
Awesome. Yeah, it's very noticeable that you're the star. It's a powerful performance.
Thank you.
It was very powerful. I think I want to start off with, and something that I really pray about a lot and I think about a lot, is the term vocation. And it seems like everyone involved in this project really had a vocation to this project and to the work that they're doing with this project, with other projects, looking at your careers. So what was it about you within your heart that called you to this specific line of media work and fulfilling God's word through this medium?
For me, personally, I was a little girl from a small town in Florida, and I didn't feel like I could relate to anyone. And I just wanted somebody to empathize with me, and I wanted to empathize with someone. I wanted to just understand. And when I would watch TV or I would, listen to music, I'm like, oh, wow, these people are going through the same thing I'm going through. Like, I want to do this. I want to tell stories. I want to entertain people. I want to make them laugh or make them feel something, because I always felt things very deeply. So that's sort of my impetus to want to get into entertainment.
For me, it was, growing up early and, I was young, I always used to watch, Rocky and The Color Purple and Back to the Future. And, I was just like, wow, how do you do that? Movies were just a magical experience and were very transformative for me. And so I was always, just enamored and like, okay, how do I become a part of that? I mean, even when we would go to Universal Studios as a kid, it was just the best to go on the tours and see how it was all done. And so movies from a very early age always captivated my imagination. And then, my father passed away when I was 9 years old. He died of a heart attack when he was 36. And so my mom didn't have money for therapy or anything like that. So it really was entertainment and church that kind of helped me and my brothers kind of get through it. And so I really felt like, well, if entertainment can do this for me, I want to do this for others through entertainment. And entertainment is truly like a megaphone to the world. And it's very hard to influence a culture without being a part of entertainment in some way. And so that's why I wanted to be a part of it, is to really influence a culture, hopefully in a positive way.
Yeah, for better or worse, right?
For better or worse.
See that,
for better or worse.
The way you need to do it. Wow,
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Well, I think I came out of the womb wanting to do this. So it was really, I truly did. I don't ever remember a time that I didn't want to. And I began acting first. And I would literally, as a little girl, just pretend to be other people and try to feel what they're feeling. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just be in my room just doing made-up monologues and stuff. And, and then I would invite the neighborhood to come in and I'd create shows and then I'd direct them, which I also really like doing. My first one being Born Free. I was the lion, though I was also the lion. But it was something that was so much a part of my life, and I have no idea why nobody else in my family did it or wanted to do it, and they were worried about me, actually. So, but I continued to do it because I had such a love of it, and to me, I began in the theater. To me, the theater was like my church. I really, and to this day, I can walk into an empty theater, and I mean like a theater where they call it legit theater versus, where movies are, and feel that there's such a potential to touch people and change lives on that stage, because you have real people standing up there, and if they truly are going through something that is real, they can affect the audience. And to me, that was the most powerful thing in the world. And I experienced it on both sides in the theater, and just thought it was a powerful medium, as we both talked about, to really not only teach people, but to let people know they aren't alone, that there are human emotions and experiences that we all have, and that we have a chance to get them out there and say, you are not alone. I mean, it's an amazing vehicle that we are able to ride, So that's sort of where I began.
That's beautiful. And it sounds like the three of you are sharing in that you're capturing the human experience and then relaying that to the audience, which is what we really need. It's beautiful. I'm going to come back to you, Roxanne, for a moment and touch on the adoption aspect. As I said, I am adopted, and like I said, kudos. You fulfilled it, and you have an experience with it as well. You have a daughter, you said, who was adopted. How was it connecting to this material, which was so personal? How did that feel to be part of something like that?
Well, it was wonderful. It was a connection that I had to the script right from the beginning. I have a biological daughter and a daughter who's adopted, and they both just mean the world to me. And when I saw this and I saw Joyce's love for John, it was something that I completely understood. And some people might question that and say that you can't love an adopted child like you do a biological child. And I know to my bones that that is not true. I really believe that our children come through us, but they aren't, and they come to us, but they aren't things that we have control over. I have a brother. We can be more different in the, and I think that the children that are given to us, no matter how they're given to us, they're meant to be in our lives for a reason. And I think that John being in Joyce's life changed her and Joyce and changed John,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really a gift. That's beautiful. Thank you. Chrissy, a question for you. It's pretty clear that you're quite a powerful performer, and you're having a tremendous career here, and you haven't. This isn't overnight. You've been working hard at this for a while. I think that's important to note. A lot of times people say like, "Oh, where'd you come?" It's like, no, you've been at this, and amen to that. There was the line that you said in the film, "Speak life around John or through John. Only speak life." Right. And the minute you said that, I feel like through your performance in this and everything else you do, you speak life into the performance.
Thank you.
How do you do that? I know that's kind of a vague question. It's like a big, but how do you speak life into it that way?
Thank you for saying that. I think that I have been comfortable with being uncomfortable in a lot of areas of my life. I know it's all relative, but I've had challenges in my life and growing up and all that. And I have always believed in, I always had faith, and I always had, I felt like I was on a path, and I just didn't know where I was going, but I knew I was headed there. Mm-hmm. And so every time something happens, or I book a job, or I don't book a job, or I have a meeting, or I don't have a meeting, I believe that all those things are happening not to me, but for me. And so I just sort of live my life that way. And when, for so long, I never wanted to be myself. And then when you're comfortable, you're finally in that place where you're like, oh, I am purposeful. And we all are purposeful. Mm-hmm. Then you can stay in your authentic truth, and that allows you to understand and have empathy for other people and want to tell a story such as this. And I just try to stay honest and present, even though sometimes it can be really hard, and to be so vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, oh, that Chrissy, she's so emotional. And I'm like, yep, it's true. It just is what it is, and I accept it. And I'm glad, because I will cry in bathrooms with strangers all the time, mm-hmm. Who are moved by a particular performance or a show, or, so I'm really grateful for that. But I think that it was sort of always destined to be that way. And so I've just embraced it. It took a minute. 12 years, actually.
12 minutes is that time?
Yeah, 12
Not
years.
overnight?
Not overnight.
Oh, come on.
Oh, no, 12 years. And so, it all unfolded the way it was supposed to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think I do a lot of college ministry, and a thing I always tell students is enjoy the process. Because they're so caught up on the degree and all these things. I always say, and especially, if they watch a show like This Is Us, they watch something, they're like, oh, look at this stuff. I always say to them, look at those people's lives. Don't just look at them on the show. Look into their lives a bit, especially if they inspire you, and realize it didn't take them one day. It's
they
a process.
Say, 10,000 hours makes a master, right?
Exactly.
That's 10 years.
Yeah.
We all are doing this for a long time.
Sure.
And nothing is really overnight. And I think it also helps you to just confirm that you're doing it for the right reason when you hang around and you stay around and you wait in line long enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm thankful that you're sharing that, because I think it's really important for our young people to hear that. Let me shift a little bit, Devon. You're starting like an enterprise, or you're just becoming, like, looking you up and researching you. It's like, what aren't you doing? And that's awesome.
Nothing.
Yeah,
He's doing it all.
Really, and you're doing it well. That's the other thing too, is that you're doing it well. There's a lot of people that do a lot of things, and but it doesn't always, But you're fulfilling the bakery method pretty well, of having a lot of things in the bakery that all taste pretty good. And I saw you have your own company that's kind of spearheading all of this work, right? So can you tell me a little bit about the formation of that and how you felt like answering God's call through that?
Yeah, I've always wanted to produce. I mean, that was, my main goal. And then as I started pursuing that, so many other things came. But from day one, I started entertainment at 18 years old as an unpaid intern for Will Smith. And, 22 years later, it's amazing to be able to do what I'm doing now. But it all came from just a vision. But to the point you made earlier, process. Got to commit to the process. I mean, I wanted to do this company at 18. I mean, at 22, I did my own business plan. And I was like, let's go. Nobody was giving me a deal. They're like, no, sit in this assistant's chair. You're not ready for a producer's chair. And what that process taught me, going back to time, I mean, starting at 18 years old, I didn't actually have the opportunity to start my company until 18 years later. It was when I was 36 is when I started Franklin Entertainment. But every day prior to starting it was a day of preparation. Now, in the moment, I didn't see that. Yeah. In the moment, I'm like, yo, this is taking too long. What's going on, God? Like, did you not get the memo? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so once I got it, though, what I realized was that every moment helped me know how to do it. Because so often we want it, but then we don't actually know what to do with it. And so it's been a blessing that all the preparation time, now I actually know, how to produce, how to put a movie together, and for a producer, it's really about setting the stage. Once we bring on the director, it's not my movie, so the best I can do is be a good support system. And so learning how to do that really is what I really appreciate, because so many times you're like, oh, I want to make a film, but how do you make a film well? And not every movie's going to make it, not every movie's going to be successful. Trust me, I've been there. But I at least want the experience to be good. And so for me to be able to do what I'm doing now, it's just, a lot of preparation, a lot of faith, and a lot of belief. And then also not being boxed in. I used to be an executive. And so a lot of times people say, oh, that's who you are. It's okay that that's who they think I was. But I knew who I was. And so it was so important to not allow anyone else's label to become my label. Even now, writing books and doing all the things that I'm doing, I'm clear on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Others may say, wait, you're this, you're that. Yeah, I'm me. And I think that when we just embrace, because none of us are just one thing. We all have different things. And so for me, the main goal, though, is inspiration. I want anyone on the other side of my work, whether it's a film, a movie, a TV show, a book, hearing me speak, or whatever, the whole goal is, how do I make their life better? Something that I do, how do they consume it and they go, because entertainment by definition is an escape. We escape. Look it up. Entertainment is like, I leave my reality and I go to another one. So my hope is that whenever someone takes a part of whatever I produce as an entertainer, that they leave their reality, they go to an alternate one, but when they come back to their reality, they come back with something positive and something that they can actually change in their life for the better. So that's how I do it, that's why I do it, and that's why I stay committed to it, because please understand, everyone sitting here, this business is hard. It is difficult. Please don't allow the calmness to just, not let you understand how difficult and grueling and every single moment of every day when you're on set is difficult. So it's a blessing to do it, but there's a larger reason why we do it. Because if you don't have that other reason, all of us will quit. Because at some level, it's just like, I can't do it. But there's purpose in it. And also when you see the impact of it, there's nothing better. Chrissy talked about people coming up in the bathroom. There's nothing better than when you did something and someone else is like, you changed my life. That helped me. That keeps, I think, all of us going in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it ceases to be yours. You give birth to this project in a way, and that's an incredible gift. And then you kind of just as a producer, you step back and you're like, well, this is not mine anymore. This is the audience's.
Totally.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Roxanne, a question for you as a director. It's going to get a little bit more technical here. I like direction. I like that field. So you directed so much TV, and you have such an impressive background in TV and that work. And this is your first feature, which I was very surprised to see that. Excited, though. How was that process for you, crossing over into film in this way? How was that for you?
Well, I think television has become so sophisticated. Audiences expect a lot these days, and I think all of that was just great training for this. I mean, to be able to keep a schedule, to know how to manipulate large situations and somehow make them work, to work with different families and egos, and when you're doing 8 to 9 shows a year, you're being dropped literally into different groups and ego dynamics and things that you have to negotiate and navigate. And you learn a lot. You also learn a lot about being strong, too, and not letting things get to you, because you're often put into situations where there's so many things whirling around that you have nothing to do with, and you have to just continue to look ahead and do your work. So it's great training. But you're always doing somebody else's work, when you do television. And your goal, and you have to be humble enough to know it, is to basically do the show that you've been hired to do, to put your thumbprint on it, to make a statement, but within the boundaries of serving somebody else. And I felt here that I was serving my vision, our vision, but the vision that we had decided on. It wasn't somebody else who could breathe over my shoulder and say, no, that's not the film that you're doing. No, this was the film that we had decided to do. And that was just beyond exciting. So I am eternally spoiled now.
It was liberating.
It was very, very liberating.
They just gave me the 5-minute mark, so I'm sorry to cut that off,
No,
but I had a question I really wanted to close out with. The line that really struck with me, and it was so quick, was pray boldly. And you asked the question in the prayer group, what does it mean to pray boldly? What do you think? I work with young people a lot. What would you say to young people who are struggling to pray boldly? I mean,
Do you want to take that, or do you want me to start?
if you all can get a chance.
I think personally, for me, when you pray boldly, you have to ask for it as specifically what you want, and of course, be willing to do the work to get it, should that message come to you and you know exactly what your directives are, But I think it's really just asking for what it is that you want on a egoless and a prideless level. That you're the conduit, that you're just the instrument, that it's not coming from this selfish place. But just being specific in what it is that you truly want.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think, praying boldly is praying even in the face of fear. Because so often we're afraid, and as a result, we don't want to think boldly, we don't want to act boldly, we don't want to pray boldly because we're afraid we're going to fail. We're afraid it's not going to work. So if we pray boldly, I think we have to pray even in the face of our fear. We're not going to let our fears dictate what we're requesting from God. And when you look at the movie, that's what Joyce Smith did. But what's fascinating is that she did it based upon practice. She didn't just go into that emergency room. She was doing that Bible study and learning and practicing so that when it was time, she was ready. And I think that's so important. No matter what we do, practice, prepare, so that when the moment presents itself, you're already ready to meet the moment instead of failing in the moment. So praying boldly is saying, my time is coming. I'm going to pray based upon what I need, what I see, what I want, no matter what my reality is. And I believe when we do that, that's when we can see amazing things happen.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I mean,
It's,
perfect little button.
it's funny, we're just about wrapped up here, but it's, I think God speaks to us in interesting ways, and I think I didn't realize till we started that I needed this personally.
Amen.
To hear that. I just finished a project that I've been working on for 7 months, and I just got, right before we started this, an email from another artist saying, didn't really work. I didn't like it. I didn't really feel it. And I've been, vocationally, I've been putting all this into it, and he's like, 2-page email, didn't really. I'm like, but I still, but you know what, I still believe in it and pray boldly, and he's only one voice.
That's
The rest are liking it. So,
I just read something like
You know?
there's 1.5 billion people. Don't let one person's
right,
opinion.
exactly.
dictate
But it was funny
you.
because it was right before this, and it kind of threw me in this mode of like, come
Does
on.
any of this matter? What does it matter?
Yeah, it's
Let me
like,
tell you, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if I
Right.
listened to that 1, 2, 10, 15,
Sure.
20 people.
Yeah.
But maybe that was the divine, that was the moment.
There it
So,
is.
thank you guys for this. This was really special.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
everything.
Yes,
Thanks for the
thank
film. I'm really excited for audience to see it. You got a lot of people on Long Island who we're going to plug to make sure they see it. So,
Thanks, Long Island.
Yes, really.
Yes,
Thanks.
yes.
Thank you. We're good, right? Yeah? Cool.